right now ahead of our major winter storm that is going to bring significant snow to areas that were just flooded.
So in lieu of this upcoming winter storm, the girls and I are on our way to the craft store in hopes of finding something to keep our hands and minds busy during the time we will be cooped up inside the house as a result of the snow. We're supposed to get about a foot, and shortly after, the temperatures are supposed to be dropping into the negatives without reaching above freezing for quite a few days. So I'm thinking it might be some time before we're able to get out, at least on the roads anyway. That in mind, y'all, grab that crafting list and let's go. So I was raised by both my mama and nanny together. They wore as many hats that would possibly fit on their head. Unfortunately, a chef's hat wasn't one of them. That said, when Blake and I first got married, I brought about zero skills as far as cooking went to the marriage. I will say I could whip up a mean batch of severely overdone scrambled eggs, and as far as holidays went, I had myself a box cake down pat. And y'all, look at me, 4 kids and 17 years later, and I'm whipping up a batch of homemade bread like nobody's business. Now, truly, that backstory is just to say, if every time you enter into a kitchen you feel completely lost, try not to be paralyzed by fear. Never underestimate your capabilities, and by all means, just try. And when you fail after trying, just try again, because eventually there will come a time when all your efforts prove completely worth it. Now, as far as bread is concerned, I've got the recipe for you. I have to say, I have nothing to do with creating this recipe. I just happened to stumble upon it, and anytime I'm in a pinch and need to make a loaf of bread really quickly, this is the one I still turn to. If you're interested in giving it a try, I've got it linked in the description box. I will say one thing I've learned from doing this particular recipe time and time again is that it's not like your regular doughs in that it is very sticky. How much extra flour you add is very much dependent on the humidity of the air in your area. Is it raining? Is it summer outside? Flouring your hands when working on it is really helpful. I usually add about 1/4 cup extra flour when it's time to add your flour, and then just let it be, and then repetitively remind myself that it's okay that this dough is sticky. If you choose to give this recipe a try or have any helpful hints or recipes of your own, I'd love to hear all about it in the comments section. And if you do choose to try it, let me know if you've got any questions as well, and I'd be happy to answer them to the best of my ability.
Ivy. Austin.
What can wash
So it looks like the posts are curing quite nicely. I'm currently in the process of getting all my seedlings collected, and I believe around the next video we're going to begin planting those. Also, hopefully by that time our fencing material will have arrived and we can get started on that. And if y'all have been with me for a while, y'all have seen some of my planting tutorials, indoor plants in general. If you're interested in hearing more about that, let me know, as well as commenting below whether or not you want me to take you along our process of growing our seedlings all the way to the point of taking them out and being ready to be planted into the garden. Good morning, y'all. So we are currently in the process of being snowed and iced in. The reason why we're up here is because Blake had to shut down the office as a result, and up here is the only quiet space because he is working from home. So as you saw, Lo and I took a trip to the fabric store, and one of the things that One of the things I've been wanting to do for quite some time is do a natural dye project. And so I have actually been collecting, I see. So I've been collecting our avocado skins. I don't have enough collected to make a massive difference, so I'm going to mix that with a little bit of tea, and we're actually going to dye my embroidery floss. Now, one of the reasons why I love naturally dyed yarns or embroidery floss is because it has the variation in color. I just love the way that looks when your project is actually being done or when it's completed. So I am going to do that. That's actually what we're going to do right now. So without further ado, let us head downstairs. So I've been experimenting with natural dyes for about 7 years now. Now, as far as mordants go, I've got to be honest, I'm still a complete beginner. Among other things, mordants help the material maintain the color absorbed. They also can help brighten. Since I'm just doing my embroidery floss and it will not ever be washed, it'll probably just be used for the next cross stitch project that I do. That being the case, I'm just using some milk we have in the refrigerator as my mordant, soaking it for about half the day. Definitely skipping a few steps here, but this is just a little something to do while we're bored inside. So for an extremely oversimplified explanation as to how to naturally dye things, you're basically taking whatever it is you are using and simmering in a pot of hot water. You're going to simmer it for several hours until you reach the color that you are looking for, strain it, and dye whatever you're looking to color. While the pot is simmering, we are taking the fabric that we purchased while we were out on our shopping trip, measuring the cabinet that I'm making the curtains for, and prepping them to be sewed. Sorry y'all, eventually I will have a mic worked out, but I wanted to share with you this little tip. So sometimes you'll see videos of our house where I have like a picture frame sitting on a wall, or like in this case, we've got a rug laying on the crib. Sometimes I can't exactly commit to a piece because I'm not exactly sure how I feel about it. So what I do is I will just put whatever that piece in question is in the space that I'm considering it to be. And then I just let it sit and let it live in that space. And every time I walk by it, I'll kind of examine, evaluate whether or not I feel like it looks good and whether or not I'm comfortable with it staying there. So originally I was knitting a quilt for this wall. I actually was knitting it when I went into preterm labor with her and while I was in actual labor with her, so it's kind of a sweet quilt. I need to get that finished. But once I had figured that it wasn't gonna hang exactly the way that I wanted it to, I kind of nixed it and didn't finish it. It's still super beautiful, so I think I'm going to pretty soon go back to that. But I also had purchased this. Thought it was just so beautiful, and so I thought that would be so pretty in the nursery, and I just couldn't decide on it. So I thought, well, I'll do what I normally do, just live with it in her space for a little bit and see if I like it. And I'm coming back to it today after I walked by, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to make my decision, and I want to put it on the wall. So during our last antiquing trip, I didn't end up sharing everything that, or honestly anything that I had purchased, but this painting was one of them. I had walked by it, I don't know how many times, every time I'd visit, and the last time I just had to take it home with us. And as you can see here, exactly what I was talking about. I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep it in this area, so I leaned it against the wall for a few days and ultimately decided this is where I want it to live.